Welcome back, Kevin. It's really good to see you. I love this album. I want to get that out in the open right now, so we can just get past it. I think top to bottom, it's a really, really amazing, fresh feeling for the band and for what you've been making.
Thanks, man.
You know, on your own terms, and I'm excited to talk to you about it. So let's begin. The album Deadbeat, brand new Tame Impala record. It's been a minute, and I know people are going to keep going on about that, but you were playing shows after the last album came out and whatnot. But rather than make a big deal of the time between albums, I'd rather sort of ask you kind of like what life has been like, because it was nonstop for Tame Impala for some time. And if, you know, I don't, you tell me whether or not it felt like you were able to pump the brakes a bit.
By the time it was 5 years, it was like, oh, that really snuck up on me, you know, because, you know, like every time I do an album, the cycle goes longer than it was supposed to. You know, like the albums, the tours and sort of out for some reason, for whatever reason, I guess like just my albums, they take a long time for people to like digest. And so, you know, they only sort of reach their peak sort of a couple of years after the albums come out. Right. So we were still doing Slow Rush stuff a couple of years after. Yeah. And then there was sort of other stuff going on. Just me wanting to do some more production stuff, the Dua Lipa album. Yep. And then it was like, okay, now I want to do an album of my own. I was like, I'm ready now, you know.
How did you know?
It's kind of just like a sixth sense, really. Yeah. I was, as you can imagine, really into just making techno music for a while. Yeah. I was dead set. I was like, I just want to make a techno album.
Would it have been a Tame Impala record, or were you you were going to come up with a different thing?
Yeah, I was going to come up with it. Maybe it was even just going to be anonymous. Yeah. But it was something I always wanted to do for my own fun, my own spiritual being, you know. Yeah. I made a bunch of that kind of music, and I think it was just sort of like focusing on that one sound. It made me go like, oh, I wish there was a little bit of chord changes. You know, I was like, just sort of like started longing for that sort of like Tame Impala thing. And so it kind of just sort of, I guess, stopped that and decided I want to make a Tame Impala album again.
What a great way to reset.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a sort of a, it was like a retreat, you know?
Yeah, because you don't want to pick up where you left off. That's the thing, right? I mean, if you sort of gone back and listened to some songs that didn't make the cut, or some ideas that were kicking around from Slow Rush era, people do that. Yeah. If they feel like they have an opportunity to extend the thought process. But and the thing is, when you first put the end of Summer out as the first song off the record, was that a really important statement? And statement's a strong word, but did you want people to like reset like you had? Did you want people to kind of cleanse the palate and be like, whatever you were thinking you were going to get, this is what I made on that day?
I mean, that's always something that I get a kick out of, is like just shaking up expectations. Yeah. Even though like at this point I was pretty sure it wouldn't, like it was kind of just like, it was obvious that I was going to do something electronic. You know, like to me it just sort of made sense. I don't know what the fans kind of think and what they think the trajectory that I'm on is. But, you know, for me, it was kind of like obvious, even though it's like you hear Tame Impala sort of like techno, and it's like, oh.
It definitely didn't feel like it was coming from a far away place, but it felt like you had gone all in.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, which was really
well. I mean, like it was never meant to be the first song released. I don't know what was, but it's sort of like the choice of what song to drop first came after the album was finished. Yeah. So it was like, finish the album and say, okay, well, what do we start with? You know, there was even talk of just dropping the whole thing at once. There's, you know, all those sort of conversations were happening.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a thing. And I don't know, man, sometimes it works and sometimes it feels good, especially if it's like there's a desire to immerse yourself in the record and not actually sort of give people a hint. But I loved what End of Summer did. I love that it got everybody going, holy shit, you know, it's peak, dudes at peak of the night. Like,
exactly.
It's like that moment where it's like, oh yeah, it's all kicking in all the right ways.
It just felt right. It just felt like, it just felt right. You know, like so much of this album rollout and process for me has just been going on what feels right, rather than what sort of intellectually seems like the smart thing to do.
I love how our favorite acting rock star these days, Joe Keery, got a chance to be in the video as well. Yeah. Having Just on the Pavement. This guy is literally, you know, the rock star chameleon at the moment. He's just like, I'm sure I could be in Tame Impala. Sure, I could be in Pavement. I'm totally fine. I can do these things.
Yeah, it was really touching how just just like ready and willing and excited he was to do it. He's like, yeah, I'll come over. And we were like, but you're in Chicago or New York or whatever. He was like, yeah, I'll fly over.
Oh,
he just flew over and did it. He was like,
chill.
had such a great energy on set. It was really, really, really nice.
Yeah,
and he's just like so good at what he does.
So
I sort of drunkenly said to him that the other day I was leaving this party that he had. And I was like, my chat was good all night. And I just left him. I was like, man, I just want to say,
go.
When I was watching you, I was like, this is acting. And he was like, oh, come on, man. I was like, no, I'm sitting.
Oh, you blew it at the end.
Because he's like sitting on the side of the street, just like,
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, wow, he's really good, isn't he? He's like, you guys sing this? And he was like, it was like the least challenging acting role of his career. I was just so amazed by it. Imagine Anyway, because I don't get to see a lot of actors act.
Yeah.
So,
and dude, enthusiasm is enthusiasm. Fuck it. Like, I just love the fact that my chat was good all night, and then as I was leaving, I finally
that's the story of my life.
got back
really.
to who you are. I'm the same. I'm the same. I found the GQ piece really moving at times because of how open you were about the fact that you came out as Tame Impala. Everyone fell in love with your music. Everyone got an idea about who they thought you were based on what we were listening to, and it was like, no, that was a reaction. That was a reaction to almost the opposite. That confidence came through the music, but it wasn't necessarily there before that.
That's always been the thing of my music, I guess, is that it's always led the way for me in terms of like confidence and like, I guess, confidence and ego. Like the music, like music for me is the part of me that is like bold and confident. And my personality has kind of always like just caught up.
What is that combination of experiences like when, for a few hours a day when you're on tour, or perhaps when you're making a record, you get a sense of who you can be, versus the times when you're not, and you have to kind of like marry those two over time, right? Because it's hard walking the line between the sense of like who you were raised at that time and the challenges that kind of ultimately form your identity, and then this identity of being this fucking dude on stage with a guitar in your hand, like, I got this.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly for me, I guess I'm kind of one of the lucky ones that like being on tour, there's no other like activity, or what do you want to call it, no other thing in my life that gives me such a sense of purpose. Like I love just sort of like, in the time between shows, like if we've had a run of like some really good shows that like I've just really felt the audience, it's been great. I've just sort of like that's kind of like the best that I've felt. This is some of my most sort of like good feeling times. Because like making music is touch and go. In the studio, it's like there's highs and there's like extreme highs and there's extreme lows, and the rest of life also has those highs and lows, and so does tour. But I guess it's just like being occupied and feeling like you have a purpose.
Yeah, and keeping you present too.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't take that on stage.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a circuit breaker, right? I mean, I'm an anxious person, and radio has been that for me. Live radio has been that for me.
Yep.
Bad days, I'm like, doesn't matter, man. For 2 hours, you guys are going to get on.
Totally. That's what this is a total segue, but that's kind of what I loved about SNL.
Yeah.
It's like every other late night TV show we've played, it's made me nervous as hell. But like SNL just had this like tranquility. It's like you're playing to the people across America right now, and it's obviously going to be on YouTube until the end of time, but I don't know. It was kind of just this sort of like this nowness.
I have a feeling about that because I got a chance to see SNL being recorded. Well, not even recorded. I saw it go out live from inside the thing. I went with Timothy Chalamet was doing it, so I got to see them move all the sets around. And there's something just incredibly homely about that whole thing.
Totally,
it's much smaller than people realize. They are literally moving pieces of wood and pieces of like polystyrene around. It's chaos, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an old school theater production.
Yeah.
So how can you be really nervous when everyone else is just like walking around with a tool belt on, just trying to make sure the fucking news set looks half decent?
That was probably it too. It's just like everyone else is just as frantic.
Everyone's
and like,
Oh, now Tame Impala. Yeah, great. Okay, cool. Thanks for coming, guys. Okay, cars outside. Thanks for coming.
Well, yeah. I mean, I really lent into that with SNL. In that I didn't have lyrics ready for the song that we played on SNL. I was up till 6 o'clock in the morning trying to record the song, and I just didn't finish it. So to this day, Borderline's lyrics are mumbled on SNL. I'm just saying gibberish. You know how artists do in the studio before they have lyrics? They just sing whatever. I did that on SNL.
Okay, man, there's a lot to unpack here. So,
if that shows just how much of a fucking mental state I was in at the moment, I didn't care.
that was going to be my question. At no point did you think like a quick swerve into an older song or something we know, like a quick rehearsal and we're good?
Didn't care. I was so preoccupied with like the song and the album and everything else. I think Coachella was coming up then.
Yeah.
It didn't seem absurd to me that I was going to do that. I was like, oh, just sing whatever, you know? I tell people that story and they just don't believe me. I have to show them the YouTube video.
Well, I'm literally like, I'm going to, as soon as the conversations, I'm going to watch the YouTube video. And but before we do, I'm still going to hold on to this story for just a little longer. So how much did you actually know versus how much were you making up?
Well, we had to submit the lyrics to SNL for sort of like, you know, censoring.
That's the next question. What did you even show them? Because they can't just let you go on air and sing whatever you want.
Remember, someone reminded me this, Kia, our tour manager, she was like, I was telling the guys that in the car, we were talking about it, and she was like, oh yeah, I had to submit the lyrics and I had nothing.
So she just wrote them?
Yeah, she wrote something out. I don't remember what it was.
Amazing.
But I remember she was like, yeah, the crew came to me for dress rehearsal and they were like, this is not what he sang. You know, I didn't know this was all happening. I guess she was trying to sort of like keep that up from
keep it smooth,
whatever.
And no one called you on it afterwards. Everyone was like, "That was amazing." You know how the internet is. I remember that being a triumph.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was. I sang words,
but just they're not the words.
You know, it's like it's like, I've done that before with songs like the Let It Happen like vocoder bit is just gibberish. It's kind of just like me just singing in tongues, really.
Well, dude, I mean, I love that song and I sing along to it. It becomes mine anyway. At the end of the day, once you put it out and I put it in my car and I listen to it, I'm like, it means something to me, whatever it is you're saying.
That's one of the craziest things about releasing music. I realized the other day. And I never realized how powerful an emotion that is the idea of a song going from being your song to everyone's song. Yeah. You know? Yeah. It can feel good. It can feel like I'm sharing it. And it can also have this weird sort of violating feeling like your WhatsApp chat has just been leaked. You know, because suddenly it's like, you know, I just sort of, I don't consider when I'm writing lyrics or making music, I don't consider people pulling them apart, you know, and sort of like, I just like, well, these are, I'm just singing, you know, and then it goes out and it's like, you know, I don't pay attention to too much stuff of like people trying to work out what the meanings of the songs are, but it's like every time it just catches me off guard. Yeah. And, you know, that's kind of just part of the big, beautiful beast.
Well, that speaks to also how you sort of approach the entire process, which is to really not get too cerebrally in front of it.
Exactly. Well, yeah, because if you do that, it can derail the project.
Do you ever get lost? I think last time we spoke on Slow Rush, you told me when we hung out at your house at the time where you were living, and you told me that, you know, you at the end of that album you felt like you were getting a little lost in it.
I think you have to get lost in it. If I'm not completely consumed by it and like just sort of felt like I've dropped off the face of the earth in doing it, then I haven't gone deep enough, you know? I honestly thought this album was going to be the album that didn't take years off my life, like mentally.
Yeah, but you know what? 4 on the Floor is a hard beast to tame. Everyone thinks you just put a donk on it and you're off to the fucking races, and it's just not how it is. It's not how it is. All that space needs to be occupied, even if it's with nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
These are tough decisions. And it's like, man, I fucking love this album, and I love how it starts. My Old Ways, it's a very intimate kind of like off the cuff way that you introduce the album, which is kind of like, this is just me. I'm just writing. You've got capturing this on a phone or whatever, some kind of recorder device, and then all of a sudden we're in full high fidelity. So it does feel a little conceptual in that regard. And I know people get quite obsessed with your albums as concept albums, but it does feel like you want it to have a start.
I guess that's another example of me just sort of going with what feels good. I was listening to some voice memos in the car just from my iPhone of me like plonking around on the piano and like just sort of singing. And I I'd go between like listening to full demos that I had and then just voice memos to see if something grabbed me. And I just loved how that sort of suddenly sounded. I was like, oh, you know, maybe that's the start of the album. Fuck it, you know? So that was kind of one of those things. But I guess what I'm saying is it's just that idea of not trying to pre-orchestrate everything, which as a producer, you sort of are supposed to do, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
that's the fun part.
Yeah, exactly. So
hard, man. So you're in reverse psychology mode on this album as much as you can be.
Sort of. Yeah, in a sense.
So, okay, let's talk about environment, because the first time you showed us that you had anything going on was you gave us a beautiful carousel of life as you've been living it. And it was a combination of family time and things that had been going on, and the fact that you were about to become a dad again. And congratulations to you and your wife.
Thanks, man.
Man. But there was also sort of really beautiful images of you just sitting on the floor surrounded by cables and boxes.
Yeah.
Which just to me looks like heaven.
That's my kind of heaven too.
Just heaven.
That's Wave House.
Yeah.
It's this place that I've recorded. This will be the third album that I've done there. Like some of there.
Is it remote?
Yeah, it's this place down south from Perth, my home city, that I actually ended up buying during the pandemic. Because it's kind of like this rickety old, sort of house on the coast. It's just completely remote. It's been my spiritual home since the first time I went there.
Okay, can we talk about the first time you went there and what it felt like?
Well, yeah, it was recording in a speaker. So my first album basically said to the record label, I was like, just find me a shack on the beach, because they were like, who do you want to produce your album? Do you want like Dave Sardi or And I was like, I'm going to do it myself. Just use that money on like just buy me just rent me a house, on the beach for like a month, and I'll do the album there. And that's what they did. They found me Jody, my manager, spoke to someone who knew about Wave House, which is kind of like, it's this now legendary, place. It has this big natural amphitheater where they had raves in the 90s, and like everyone's been there at some point, And
now your name's on the lease.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's funny because it's always been this sort of like house of, craziness and debauchery for a lot of people. Everyone's had sort of like...
Oh, so it's a fucking pilgrimage.
Yeah, everyone's had wild times there. Yeah. But I didn't really know about all that. For me, it was always this like sanctuary.
Yeah.
So peaceful, and like all I could hear was like the sound of me playing drums, and like birds tweeting outside.
And you did that on your own, primarily in a speaker.
Yeah,
in terms of, I know you made it all on your own, but I'm saying, who else was like living with you at the time?
There's a couple of other people. Like Dom was there. We had an engineer there. But it was only ever sort of like 3 or 4 people.
I'm really fascinated by isolationists, and I know that's an extreme way to describe it, because you've got a family and you live in Los Angeles, so it's not like you're out living in the middle of nowhere, but you clearly are comfortable being isolated and creating and not feeling like that's a strange environment. I think based on some stuff I won't go into from my upbringing, which is for a conversation over wine if we ever have it, that I find the idea of being careful. I find the idea of isolation to be sometimes really scary. Like I was just up in Seattle, quite isolated, a lot of pine trees. And I was like, yo, this is end of the earth shit. Wow. And it was eerie to me. It felt eerie to me. So I'd love to just talk a little bit about kind of what draws you to your own environment away from things.
I thrive on it because it's extremely recharging for me. And it's a time of reflection. And I know that sort of like... It took me a long time to realize how there would be some people who don't enjoy that. Yeah. Some people are just like, oh no, that sounds like my worst nightmare.
Boom.
But for me, I just need to gather myself.
Yeah.
And just sort of like spending days on end with one purpose, and that's just to sort of like capture a musical idea as it floats by. Is nice, and it's kind of just like what I need to sort of like. I'm always like in the car driving home, wherever it could be, like an Airbnb in Malibu or something. I'm always sort of driving home, just feeling like I'm ready to face the world again.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And hopefully music happens during all that time.
Yeah, exactly. Which isn't a given, by the way.
It's not a given, no.
Do you experience writer's block or something akin to that?
I don't like that word
Yeah, because it's shit. That's why it's a terrible fucking term. No one likes that word. No one's like, I love writer's block, but whatever. I agree with you. I know what you mean. So
I think from what I understand, writer's block.
I can make it worse, by the way. Do the pipes get clogged? I don't know. It can get way worse than writer's block.
Oh, I mean, like what I understand writer's block to be, and like, sure, I've felt sort of stifled creatively before, but I think it's a combination of many things. Like, do I think that your own mind is capable of stopping you from doing the thing that you love?
Yep.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
100%.
Abso-fucking-lutely. But I think with anything there are remedies, and ways to rediscover what you love about what you do.
Let's talk about the early days of Wave House on this album. And,
okay.
And what you brought with you and what you set up. And I mean, just get nerdy because fuck it, man. People love your records and it's never a passing fancy, bro. Like we really dive in and we really listen to what you've made and we're interested.
Of course.
So, how did you sort of go into this experience out there in a place you've been to many times before? Did it feel different? Did you like the comfort of it feeling the same? And what did you bring how did you get yourself into a place where this room gave birth to this?
Actually, the album officially started in Montecito because my thing is I just get an Airbnb.
That's a beautiful part of the world.
Somewhere on the coast. Well, I actually don't care where it is. It's like I get on the Airbnb app and I just find where there are places literally like as close to the water as you can get. I want to be fucking right there. You can't get me closer to the water. I will spend money on a place that sucks. If it's like 100 meters closer to the water than like a mansion, I'll go the place where I can hear the waves.
What is that? That's obviously always been the case. Look, growing up in Perth, you're very close to the ocean, and it's like I'm from New Zealand. I get it. I'm always drawn to the coastline as well. But I often find that the waves can be. I can get an anxiety from waves too if they're really close.
Not me.
The douche.
I think it's and I don't want to be too like dramatic about it, but I think it's something to do with.
I just told you I was scared of waves, bro. You just get dramatic.
Okay. I think that it's the abyss, and like staring out at the abyss, especially at nighttime or like the end of the day. Staring at the ocean for me is just, it helps me get lost, and there's a tranquility that comes along with it, and an inspiration. I also think like hearing just white noise triggers musical ideas for me on like a cerebral level.
Yeah.
But I've always loved the ocean. Like I've always just been obsessed with it. I can't get close enough to it.
So Montecito.
Well, it was like a little sort of beach house in a run of like family other houses. I could hear kids playing and stuff during the day while I was recording. I don't care.
Yeah, of course.
It was kind of nice to just hear this like life going on, family life going on while I'm this sort of like guy. They must have thought there was some weirdo, just like there's some weirdo in our run of like family holiday homes. What's this guy doing anyway?
Well, the term weirdo is a hierarchy, right? I mean, depending on where you exist, depends on how weird you're considered to be. I mean, those families where their kids are running around living an idyllic life on the coast up in California, were probably right to assume that you were a weirdo because you were very out of step from the Montecito life.
Yeah. I think it was Montecito anyway. I might have that wrong, but
or like Seacliff or something. It's up that way.
Yeah, I rented a place in Malibu for a few days, a few weeks after that. I just find somewhere to go.
That must have been really strange. And I mean, we're not going to drag the whole city through trauma again, but you had been through a significant drama, fire-related drama sometime before that. Didn't you lose some stuff?
Oh, my gear, yeah.
When?
From an Airbnb that I was at. In 2009 to 18, whenever the first
fire, the Wolsey fire.
Yeah, whenever that was.
So you had to run. You weren't packing stuff up and chucking it in the car and getting ready to go.
No, I jumped in the car, grabbed my Hofner bass and my laptop, and I was out of there. Yeah, I could see smoke and flames from the driveway. Anyway,
I've been through that, by the way. So just so you know, it's like, and again, this is a factual representation of what happened. I mean, where we live was right on the doorstep of the Runyon fire. Familiar?
Sure.
Gone. So going back to Malibu, in between then and what subsequently happened, it's like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
I get existential when I think about that shit. I'm just like, wow, Neil Young called it, man, between the fire and the floods.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of, a lot of that kind of thinking after stuff like that.
Where does the world factor into the making of music? Do you try to stay as internal as possible and process what you're feeling, or do you find that the world creeps into what it is that you're making?
This is how I kind of see it. Like, I'm a human in the world today. So whatever I feel like expressing is going to be a product of, whatever else is going on. Just the general psyche going on. I don't try to sort of like put that into words, but I just let it come through in the way that it does. I mean, like calling an album Deadbeat. Like I've sort of thought that maybe that's a result of masculinity today. I don't want to, analyze it. I feel like it's not my job to analyze it, but I hope someone does.
And it definitely has a strong sensation that comes from that term. And the songs reflect that on the record for sure. So again, I'm not trying to paint you into a concept here, because you make beautiful music and we should just embrace it in our life, whatever it means to us. Sure. You got an album called Deadbeat. The second song's called Loser. There's a sense of sort of, I guess, ownership over these terms that get thrown at us rather than we absorb them willingly. Like no one goes, I'm a deadbeat. Someone calls you that and then you're like, oh fuck, I guess I am.
Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on. Ownership is a good word. Like there are some people that have spoken to me and gone like, I don't know why you called your album that, man. Like why are you being so down on yourself? Like why so self-degrading? But like I just don't see it like that. For me it's like a celebration, of the feeling of being these things. Like a loser or a.
The being checked out isn't necessarily as bad as people like. It's okay.
I've always had a sick satisfaction from being hard on myself in my lyrics. I guess that's no secret really. But for me, it's like it's freeing. To make beautiful music and then put a sticker on it that says that, like piece of shit. It just, to me, it's like it gives all of that meaning. Yeah. It's like it gives all those feelings that have sort of like followed me around my whole life. It gives them purpose and sort of like flips them around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Take the power back a little bit from that. Yeah, exactly. Because that's what those terms, those words and those terms are designed to strip you of any real sense of self-worth in order to create a power dynamic with the people using them so that they can feel like their life is less shit.
Exactly.
Because they just called your life shit. And guess what? That's fine. You can call me that, but I just made a fucking 5th album. And like I'm going to play stadiums and like festivals and own that shit.
That's it.
Let's talk a little bit about the success is a strange word, right? Because it depends on what you deem it to mean. But let's just put it through the more conventional filter of like from the first song you ever put out in the EP right through to now, you've become one of the most conventionally successful bands making music. You are a genuine festival headline act. You can play any arena globally, by the way, which is a really amazing thing. You can go all over Europe and all over parts of the world that people can't really do. You've made a really justifiable and successful profit off of your songwriting in recent years. So sort of how do you translate all of these things? Because I can imagine that you could sort of like just try to get past them all, but you are still making decisions to say, yes, we will headline Coachella. Yes, I will sell part of my catalog. Yes, I will do these things.
I think we can all agree that there is no one way to measure success. Like back when like CDs were around. Like
it was all
that was like
cents,
that was the last time we had a way of quantifying success.
NSYNC fucked it.
I don't know why he singled them out, but
because they sold 2 million albums in their first week, and the next week, fucking Napster started. It was like the end of the empire, literally at exactly the same time.
I mean, like which is not to say that there isn't success these days. It's just whatever you want it to be. I truly believe that it just comes back to success is what you make it. It sounds cheesy and sort of like kind of stuff, but I mean, anyone who is in the industry knows how sort of like how unclear all of those sort of things are. Like take sort of streaming numbers. It's like, oh, my song streamed like 1 billion times. It's
what does
like,
it mean? yeah.
Well, it's like there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
You know, what playlist did you get on? Whose hand did you shake to get on? You know, it's like there's so much that goes into every. So you could take every like metric, as they say, of success and pick it apart. For me, like again, like Grammys, it's like to win a Grammy, you don't just make the art and then you win a Grammy. It's like stuff that goes into it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is, it's like a personal thing, you know, and I've learned to find those moments where I feel successful. It might be like someone stopped me on the street and told me that my music changed their life. You know, like to me that's it.
And what about a Grammy? Which you just won one for with Justice. And that must be kind of really fun for you as well, because it's not just about Tame Impala. You produced the Dua Lipa record. I spoke to Dua about that experience, and obviously you know more than anyone how much she loved working with you on that album, and that album's been great for her and for her whole life cycle. You know, and then you've got this Justice record, which just doesn't fucking stop. It just doesn't go. It just doesn't stop.
Yeah, it was really. It's one of those things where it's like it's really enlightening to like peek behind the curtain with those guys, because their music is so, you know, when you listen to like the early stuff, it's like, how did they make this?
How do they get it to sound like that?
Yeah. So it was really nice just to sort of like be able to stare at their laptop screen and see.
I mean, you just literally blew my mind telling me it was even made on a laptop screen.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, it's like no laptop is actually strong enough to like even handle that shit. They're a total DJ's nightmare, because whenever they make anything, there's nowhere to put it in the set without demolishing whatever came before or after. It's just like,
yeah, exactly.
And they got a Grammy with Justice on it too.
Yeah, the Grammy was nice. I was more proud to win it than I thought I was going to be.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, because I've been nominated a bunch before, and I've kind of got to the point where I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm not going to get my hopes up anymore, whatever. And you know, like I woke up in the morning and it had already happened, because I was in Australia, so the time zone, you know, like I just woke up and there was like a bunch of messages on my phone going like, oh my God, you know. And they sort of like kept coming through the day. And I guess with things like that, the nice part of it is what you understand people to, you know, like your friends going like, oh, nice work, bro.
It's kind of for everyone else. I always think like
that's what I'm trying to say.
It's kind of for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to get back to a little more sort of like specific as we go through the record as well, because we've been kind of all over the road, which I love to do. But you know, we also have songs to talk about.
Let's do it.
I want to talk about "Not My World," which is one of my favorites on the album, and I just love the story about that and just what was going on when you made that music. And
that one was kind of like. That was one of the ones that, even though it's not like a fully fledged, it's not like a song, it's kind of just this stretch of music.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, that was kind of the blueprint of the album.
Yeah.
It's like really raw, just like singing into a mic that's plugged into a guitar amp. It just, I wanted it to feel spontaneous and just sort of like in the moment, and not really having this sort of like, in the moment kind of feeling, just like I don't want to say throwaway, because it's kind of like,
no, it's vicarious in the best way. It's like, I feel like it's like when I listen to when I listen to Rez by Underworld, I feel like I'm literally hearing them just capture it in the club on one night.
Yeah, exactly. Like I almost kind of wanted it to feel like, yeah, you just sort of seen someone playing in some sort of small town hall with a few people, you know. I don't know. It's kind of a weird. But yeah, I love that one too.
One of the ones that really kind of jumps out, just purely because it's like so unashamedly in its bag, is "Piece of Heaven." It's so it starts in a way that's like, okay, this makes sense to the album that I'm halfway through, and just over halfway through. And then when the drums kick in, I'm like, oh, you just fucking went there. Like you just really fired up those sounds and were like, I'm not going to replace them. I'm just going to use this. I love where this sits. But I think for a lifelong Tame Impala fan, it's like a really lovely, it feels like a lovely separation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. That one came quite late in the piece. Like it was one of the ones I spent the least time on in a good way, because it's like songs like Dracula that have been around for like a year and a half. By that point, I'd sort of picked at them. You know, some songs can die the death of a thousand cuts. You know,
For sure.
And Piece of Heaven just sort of like happened. I just sort of went with it, and it was done in a few days.
What a
and
joy.
It was my favorite thing I'd done for a few days. I was like, oh, I'm just so happy with this.
What's the song, if one comes to mind, that just literally scraped onto the one of your albums, that was nearly just absolute fucking exhaustion mode on that people all love now? Thank God you put it out. But at the time you're like, my God, if I have to do one more fucking reference mix of this thing, I'm going to literally throw it against the wall.
Every song, every single song has
song.
been deliberated over, and it's I've like loved it and hated it. You know,
when do you get to love it again once it's finally done and you can't fix it anymore?
2 years after.
2 years. That's crazy.
I tell you what, A New Person Saved My Mistakes almost didn't make the album.
Wow.
Last song on Currents
Yeah.
almost didn't make the album. A bunch of songs that Elephant almost didn't make the album.
Yeah, there's some guffawing going on here in the room.
Yeah.
There's some real like fucking shock and awe.
Man, every artist has those stories.
For sure. I just wanted yours.
Yeah, no. It's crazy how many of those like huge hits, not saying that those songs of mine are huge hits.
Yeah,
but
they are, because you go and see fucking you live in front of 60,
Sure.
70,000 people, and
Sure.
it's going to definitely do what it's designed to do.
Of course.
The fact that it could be sitting on a hard drive somewhere is just so make or break. I love it.
I know.
Some skin of the teeth shit going into all this.
Yeah. The song on this album, Afterthought, second last track.
Yeah, I love that.
So I started that
Really
song,
love that song.
at 5 p.m. on day 2 of mastering.
You're so funny.
So
That's crazy.
So we mastered the album over 2 days.
Yeah.
And each day I had to hand in that sort of like that half of the album at 4 p.m. because that's when it became 9 a.m. in UK, which is where it's getting mastered.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I've got this sort of demo that I'm going to work on. You know, I was like, oh yeah, I'll get to it later. You know, because I was still just sort of mixing and you know, working on the other songs. And I didn't get to it until an hour after everything was due on the second day. So 10 p.m. I handed it in for mastering. I tweaked the mixes after that, but like honestly, Afterthought is it's my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, man, I love that song. I can't believe that you took that down to the wire so hard. Did it replace something?
It was either going to be just this sort of like 2-minute interlude or a proper song. It wasn't even going to be a proper song. I was like, oh, I hope it turns into a real song, but I'm really running out of time here.
It's additive's fine, but when you're actually cutting something to make room for something else,
yeah,
you really like, you're dicing with history there. With you know, because in 2 years' time, you go back and listen to that fucking song, you're like, damn, what the fuck did I leave that off?
Yeah, well, that's the stuff that can really screw with your brain when you start thinking about, you know, the history that's going to not be made by not releasing. You know, it's like you can't go down that rabbit hole. It'll turn your brains to scrambled eggs. But Afterthought, it's still kind of like it's the most effortless on the album, and like that's kind of something I was saying to Glenn and I go afterwards was like I spent sort of like 2 years working on the album, waiting for a chorus hook that felt as effortless and free and easy as Afterthought. It took having to work on it on the second day of mastering, just be like, fuck it, write this, put it on these lyrics, put them in, don't think about it. I finished it, I was like, oh, it's my favorite song.
It's just so funny, isn't it? I mean, it's such a rewarding moment, but at the same time, such probably a grim reminder that, you know, that's what you're searching for at all times, and it's so fleeting.
That's it, yeah.
It's so fleeting. What a fucking great life, dude. I mean, this is like so much.
If you say so.
Well, I mean, okay,
it takes its toll.
It does take its toll because you give a shit, and it is an intensely personal experience. There's no one else around you that can ultimately, because the way you've designed it is that can kind of ease your pain, right? You're in it until you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
But you probably never think about this. But I mean, Tame Impala, you could have ridden the first couple of albums into oblivion. You could have just, that's what we are. That's who we are. People like it. We'll get better at it. And you've made some really, really great you've taken some really great risks to be able to free yourself up to do whatever you want. Like
I was in an interview the other day, and someone asked me what I thought about the idea that fans think that that I've sort of like turned my focus to like commercial or like whatever's going to sell.
Was this a print interview?
Yeah.
They just get to ask the fucking harshest questions.
Yeah,
in print,
that's
don't
okay.
they?
I like them. I like the harsh questions. If you've got any harsh questions you're holding back on, ask them.
I think you know me pretty well, bro. I'm not in print for a reason.
Sure. Okay. And I immediately realized while I was like, where I answered the question was like, if I didn't care about the music anymore and I just wanted to make money and sell albums, the way that you would know that is if I just did the same thing again.
Yeah.
Because I would know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I would know what radio station's going to play it. I would know how it's going to perform. I would know who's going to like it, what like demographics or whatever. It would all be so planned out for me. Like making like currents again, making the album that previously made again would have just been, making a bunch of Elephant sort of like redos would have got me on every like car commercial in like America,
For real. And here's the thing, you know where the mics go, you know how to capture that room, you know what to do, you know where everything is. All you got to do is just write a better one.
Oh, on a recording level, yeah. Well, that's the other thing.
Because that's the thing. Like you had to kind of listening to this album. There's a whole lot of learning here too.
Yes, well, I'm learning as I go. That's the like. Releasing Currents was like, oh God, am I doing the right thing? Like this feels risky.
What felt like the biggest risk there for you at that time?
The whole album, the whole album, because it was like there weren't many guitars on it. I was using drum machines. It was like electronic in some parts. It was like electro in some parts.
Yeah.
Any time that I decide not to do the same thing again, it's unknown. It's unknown, and it's scary and all that kind of shit. But I remind myself that I would far rather it this way than the way that's where I know what's planned out ahead of me.
Why? Do you know why?
Because I just have to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I just have to.
Any close to knowing why, or is it just a literally compulsion?
I would just feel defeated if I decided to do the same thing again, or if I decided that I want to go down the path of knowing what's going to happen. I want control and I want predictability here. If I did that, that's how you would know that I've given up as an artist.
Well, we'll park that until that day comes, or hopefully it never does.
Yeah.
When I'm like,
well, I mean, yeah. if I do, it's because I felt like it.
I was going to say, there you fucking go. That's exactly the point. It's the narrative I choose it to be. If I choose to make the next album exactly like this one, it's a punk rock experiment. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's because you're expecting me to not do the thing that I. Yeah.
Nicely played, Parker. Can we talk just a little bit without getting too personal, because I'm a family man and we're both at this point in our lives, we're building families, just about like how that balance has what a joy that's been to kind of like realize that there's something in your life that doesn't just revolve around Wave House and you and your own sort of musings, and that there's other reasons.
It's been an interesting perspective shifter. I mean, like one of the biggest things about having kids is how it shifts your perspective.
Yeah.
In ultimately the best way, because it makes you realize that you're not the center of the universe.
Yeah.
Even though it's like there are many things in life that sort of like teach you that, but having kids is like, oh no, you are very much.
No, you're next. Here's what happens, right? You have kids, and then your parents get old, and then if you're lucky, the order of things they check out, and then you're fucking next. And so when you have kids, that's the beginning of that realization. They're like, holy shit, like I'm no longer the wonder kind here. Like I have to give way. I have to give some space over and some time over that doesn't just belong to me anymore.
Yes, and also just on a sort of a momentary scale, it's like just sacrificing yourself and your time in the moment, and you've got fucking vomit and food on you and stuff. It's like my t-shirt being clean is not what's important here. So yeah, and like it's like anytime you shift your perspective, it's good for creativity and art and all that kind of stuff. There is also like feeling like you're the center of the universe when you make art. Like You know what I'm saying? It's like there's something. You know, I hate to reference Kanye, but like, you know, there's a little Kanye in. What am I trying to say? The essence of being an artist is like I am this.
Yeah.
You know,
I am a god.
Yeah, I'm a god. I'm the god of this universe.
Where the hell is my damn croissant?
Yes, exactly. That's very powerful.
Yeah. Tyler described it as you have to have some delusion.
Delusion. Exactly. And like being a parent really fucking switches you on to like you've got to be aware of what's going on here. You know, you shouldn't be delusional. So I think for me, like,
it's a shift, right? It's a balance.
It's a balance. Yeah, I like to sort of switch off from. I just like to remind myself that I am like remind myself of my inner child, an inner sort of like just free floating entity.
Well, it's a band and it's not a band. It's you. We all know that. Someone made a joke this morning, like, breaking news: Tame Impala is Kevin Parker. I don't know. I found that so fucking funny.
Oh man, I've been getting used to that for however many years now.
It's just the way he said it was a giggle for me.
Sure.
But when it comes to playing live, I mean, it is the collective experience. Is it the same collective experience? I mean, is it? How important is consistency for you when it comes to bringing this music to the stage?
We do our best. I like to sort of straddle the line between making sure it's like quality and just sort of keeping the chaos. I think with this tour, more than ever, I'm trying to embrace the chaos and just sort of spontaneity and like, you know when you go and see a concert and you get the feeling that like they're not really in control of what's happening and anything could happen.
Yeah.
And it's like scary, but it's also kind of like, oh, this is exciting.
You know who's really fucking good at that? And the dawn of that era was when they leaned into their techno bag as well as Radiohead.
Okay.
There's a sense when I see them that they are like, it could spiral off into outer space at any given moment, but somehow they keep it grounded just when you think like, oh, fuck, like this is not a Radiohead concert anymore. And then it's like, oh, yeah, it is. And so I wonder whether kind of the introduction of like a full scale kind of, like you said, like was obvious to you and probably to most of us that you were going to make a much more electronic and techno-based record.
Mm-hmm.
That whether that's kind of inspiring that thinking like, okay, well, we've got this we've got the grounding here. What do we do with it? Is like, who knows?
Well, it's been fun to like imagine, just try and come up with ways to do it. You know, like for me, we're a collective, and you know, like I would never want it to be not that. You know, I'd never want it to be just sort of like techno music sort of on the backing track and then I'm just sort of singing. You know, like it's got to have this sort of like organism feel to it.
You love that experience of being a band.
I do. I always have. It's kind of one of the things that I longed for, you know, when I was a kid. All I wanted to do was be in a band. I just want to feel that connection musically.
How has that been over the course of your journey, wanting that in all honesty and in an earnest way, but also knowing at the end of the day that you're better served making the records on your own, and the balance between wanting to foster the community of a band experience versus the reality of how the music gets made?
It was just something that I, like making music by myself was like a last resort. You know, I was fuck it, I'll go just do it by myself. That was born out of my frustration of like sort of like making a band, and like I never realized until later that I'm like a bad leader. You know, some people are good at like rallying the troops. Like, we're gonna do this. It's, you know, being a you know, like being a great sort of public speaker and getting everyone excited. That just wasn't me. You know, I was kind of like, yeah, you guys want to be in a band? You know, I got this song, so all right, you know. That doesn't do very well in sort of, you know, getting people excited, making a band. So I was like, oh, I'll just do it myself, you know.
Yeah.
And I had sort of bands going at the same time, but playing in a band has always been this sort of like social, hanging out with friends, thing for me, rather than like a deep musical, exploration.
Man, best of both worlds.
Of course. I feel very blessed that I get to have the best of both worlds, for sure.
Yeah.
Because when we play live, I get that, you know. obviously I'm like selfishly like, isn't this great? Because like they're my songs.
I was going to say, the best of both worlds. You didn't let me finish. The narcissist is satisfied.
I know.
And the desperate social animal also gets to like touch it a little bit here and there as well. It's
I know. It's very self-centered, but
well, only 50% of the time.
People are paying money, so
there it is.
You got a show to put on, guys.
That is a metric of success right there.
Yeah, sure, exactly.
Not to get too far ahead of myself, but obviously, we have this Tame Impala album, and it's all focused on Tame Impala. But early in the conversation, we spoke about you working with Dua Lipa, and you are a well-renowned, very generous and great collaborator. People queue up to work with you. So I just wondered, if there's I don't think I've ever asked you who you would love to collaborate with that you have yet to collaborate with, or what what comes to mind.
I mean, my dream for a while has been to do something on a Rosalia album. If I got on board with her stuff quite late. Everyone else was kind of going crazy. I was kind of just got on board late, and it was I'd kind of just had the moment that everyone else had with Rosalia, kind of just late, and it was kind of just blew my mind,
Yeah.
So if I could ever do something on her album, that would be incredible. I'm at the moment, I'm not worthy, but
that can't be too far out of reach, man. At some point, because I'd imagine she's a fan of yours as well. that's
I think so.
I don't really know how. I don't know how these things work these days. Most people talk about the DM, but I imagine for you guys because you're on the same label, there's probably a much easier way of doing it than that.
I'm really intrigued by the K-pop world.
Have you dabbled in that?
No, not yet. It's kind of just this. It seems like this universe that's sort of hard to sort of penetrate and get into.
Yeah.
I'm just for what I love about pop music, K-pop just seems to really. So I love Blackpink, Lisa. I really love her kind of her thing. It's really cool.
With the Tame Impala album done, and with you thinking about how you want to bring it to life and go on tour and reach people, can you find room for that? Can you still make room if someone calls you up or
Yeah, of course. For me, it's always the grass is always greener. When I'm producing, I'm oh, fuck this. I just want to go back to my studio and make my own music. And when I'm making my own music, I'm I'm sick of being the center. I'm sick of being the center of my own universe. I just want to be someone else's. I just want to help someone else.
Yeah.
So, I'm sort of my pendulum is starting to swing back the other way.
And was Dua the last project that you sort of worked on?
Yeah, last proper one, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever is next.
Well, man, I'm very, very happy as a fan with this listening experience, man.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
It's going to be an album I personally will listen to a lot.
Great.
You just know when something's sticky and it's going to come back, and it's going to come back, and it's going to come back, and I think. I don't know what magic you put in it. I wouldn't actually want to know that. That's not a question I'm going to ask you. But I'm really, really, I'm looking forward to seeing how you put all this together.
Thank you, man.
How you bring the techno to the people.